So, welcome to Who Are the Nephilim and Rephaim? And the purpose of today's training is to help you study this very controversial but also very intriguing subject. The purpose of a webinar, especially tonight, is we're going to provide training for Logos Bible software. We want to show you the tools to help you get the most out of Logos to study topics like this. We're going to provide training so you can study the topic for yourself. We're going to provide biblical insights related to the topic when appropriate. At times, training can be fast-paced. We like to include a lot of information to increase the training value. Training at times may be complex with multiple steps. Other times, training is easy to follow along with just a few steps. All webinars are recorded for purchase and review offline, and we do include presenter notes with the personal book. All right, let's jump into the Logos personal book to show you what we've got here. And here's the table of contents, as you can see. And so let's ask the question, why this topic? The Nephilim and Rephaim are more than shadowy figures from ancient history. Studying these figures demands careful exegesis, humility before God's word, and a disciplined refusal to speculate beyond what is written. It's fun to talk about these things, but we just can't go beyond what the word says. In doing so, we will gain a deeper understanding of biblical history. Now, this particular topic is unique in that I want to reference some resources or recommend some resources for you. First, and many of these, unfortunately, some of these are not available in Logos. One of the better ones is this one. It's Timothy Chaffee, and I got to meet him. He was at a conference, and he spoke on his book and had some very helpful insights. And the title of that book is Fallen, the Sons of God. You can get that at Amazon. So I will paste the title in there for you, and that will get you going there. And then in Logos, probably the most notable author who's written probably the most on this and the most detail would be Michael Heiser. As you know, he has gone home to be with the Lord, but he has left behind some wonderful resources. And we have Reversing Herman, Enoch, the Watchers, and the Forgotten Mission of Jesus Christ. So you can get that available today. Let me go ahead and give you that link so you can look it up. And then we have George Nicholsberg and James Van der Kam, First Enoch. Now, this is the actual translation of the resource First Enoch. And it's a scholarly translation, so you'll find that very useful if you actually want to read this resource. And it's a long book, 40-plus chapters. So actually 71 chapters to be precise. And then soon to be out, if not already, I know there was an announcement recently, is Michael Heiser's The Watchers and Holy Ones, volumes 1 and 2. Think of this as more details. And so those are available. In fact, let me just click the link real quick here to see if the pre-order is still going on. And actually, it's now available. There you go. I knew it was just come out. And so this is volume 1. Let's check out volume 2. Let me close that down. And let's see about the second one. So let me give you the link for that one too in a minute. And these are really, really good expanded resources. I think will be very helpful. And it looks like that other one is still in production. So we'll add that link there. Okay, so those are going to be some very helpful resources. And what I like about all of these is they're going to give you a variety of opinions and thoughts and give you that background that you're going to need to study this subject matter. Now, in order to really help you mine the information you have in your Logos library, you're going to need some collections. Now, many of you who've come here regularly already have these collections, but in case you don't, let's go ahead and get those. So the first one is pretty straightforward. Let me show you how to go to Logos's public download location, and you can get these commentaries for free. So we're going to click on Documents. Let me drag mine into my layout here so I can reuse it. So you're going to type in 08-commentaries all, or paste what I put in the chat box. Then you're going to click Public, and then locate that 08 commentaries and click it. Then choose Add to your docs, and you'll see a blue bar appear and disappear quite quickly. That's to let you know you've downloaded it. The next one that we're going to download, actually, let's do something a little bit different here. We're going to get rid of that all part and just do 08-commentaries. And I want you to download all 4 of those. So 08 commentaries all, 08 commentaries concise, 08 commentaries exegetical, and 08 commentaries expositional. Once you click and select all of them, choose Add to your docs. That way you have all 4. Then let's go to the next one, which is here, 07 Systematic General Theology. Let me paste that in the chat box for you. And again, locate 07 Systematic, click it once, then choose Add to your docs, and then wait for the blue bar to appear and disappear. The next one is going to be 07 Historical Theology. Again, we'll paste that right in that box or type in 07-Historical Theology. Locate 07 in the list. Make sure you ignore the other ones. Once it's clicked and selected, choose Add to your docs. Just a couple more. There's quite a few here. Then we're going to do theological journals. All right, so I paste that in the chat box. We'll paste it in the search box. There it is, 07 Theological Journals. We'll click it to add to your docs, and then the blue bar appears and disappears. 2 more to go. There's 07 Historical Theology. We'll paste that in there, press enter. Locate 07 Historical Theology, click Add to your docs. I'm moving through this pretty fast because it's pretty mechanical and quite boring to do, as you can see. And then we'll paste in there 07 Theology All. There it is, locate in the list, and do Add to your docs. Now, the reason you need all of these is because when we do the all search, we need to have those other collections in our library. Okay, now how do we get these collections ready? Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click X and close on Documents. And then we're going to go to the main menu, locate the waffle icon, also known as the tools icon, those 9 dots in the shape of a grid, that waffle icon looking. And then after you click on it, type in the word collect. And then we'll click on collections. And now what we want to do is open up these alls. All right, so I'm going to take the 08 commentaries. Now I already have it open, but you would paste the rule. Actually, you can click open and paste it right in the open. You should see 08 commentaries all. Now mine has concise, expositional, and exegetical. Let me go ahead and just delete those so I can demo what to do. So yours is going to be blank because Logos, unfortunately, doesn't bring those customized collections over. So we'll click open. And because you have 08 commentaries, just get rid of all that other stuff. So all you can see is 08-commentaries. And then you're going to see the concise, exegetical, and expositional. Now here's what you're going to do. You're going to left click on it, hold the left mouse button down. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose concise, and I'm going to drag that to the left, wait for the toolbar to kind of disappear, drag it back to the middle here where it says drop these resources, collections add here, and release the mouse. Let me do that again. So we'll click open. Notice it remembers what you have. We'll left click on the exegetical, and we'll just drag this time to the right, waiting for that window to close, and then release. And we'll do that one more time. We'll click open. We'll go to expositional, drag that one to the left, wait till the toolbar disappears, and there it goes. Now we have 3, we've released it. This way, you can do kind of a super search. You'll be able to search all concise, all exegetical, all expositional by searching just the commentaries all. Great, great feature. All right, the next one we have to look at is the 07 Theology All. So what we're going to do is we're going to click New, click Open, paste that in there, 07 Theology All, and you can see that we have those here as well, 4 of them. So let me go ahead and delete all those. And now we'll put in 07. There they are. So we got theological dictionaries. We're going to left click, drag that over to the left, drag and drop. Then we're going to click open, and we're going to drag the other one, theological journals, drag that one over. Okay, we got dictionaries. We got journals, looking good. And then we're going to do theological dictionaries and encyclopedias. We're going to, well, that's L10. For some reason, I'm just not seeing those other ones, but that's okay. We'll do historical theology. That's the next one. And I'm just going to put in historical theology. So drag that one over. So we got historical theology. We got theological journals. We've got systematic. That's the last one. So 07 systematic. There we go. So that's all 4 of them. And by this way, you can search just one collection, the all collection, and you'll be searching all these other ones. Let's go ahead and click new and close, and we're good to go. All right, so all that effort is going to help us search our library more effective because those are the resources that are going to be your best source of information on studying the Nephilim and the Rephaim. Now, where do we start? And again, this is really wonderful about Logos. The fact book is becoming a go-to resource for me. So I'm going to click on the main icon, the book with the check, and we're just going to type in Nephilim. All right, this is a wonderful way to get ourselves started. So we type in NEPH. You'll notice that a couple things come down. We have Nephilim with the icon that represents a people group. We have the actual Hebrew word, Nephilim. And then we have the Nephilim and daughters of men specific to a cross-reference. Let's start with the Genesis 6:1-8. That's pretty handy. And so we go there, and you can see that it's going to go to our preferred Bible, and then we've got all the results down below. Now, you can read all these. They're going to be very helpful in bringing you the information. But the thing I want to focus on is the Dig Deeper. The Dig Deeper is really helpful because you can now get a list of specialized searches to run. And we can see those are very helpful. And then also we have the people, places, and things, and so forth. So this is going to get us started. And there below is the Nephilim, the people group. So we can click and expand that triangle, and we can see what verses we have. We just have Genesis 6:4. Now, I'm going to read Genesis 6:4 for you. And what I've done in the personal book is I put in kind of the what it's referencing, because there's a lot of pronouns that can make this passage very difficult. And so this is a really important exercise to do when you're dealing with a difficult passage, because you have to make sure you know who's referring to what. So there were giants, and the reason I put Nephilim there, in fact, let's demonstrate this. I'm going to open up my preferred Bible. I'm going to go to Genesis 6:4. And notice that the Legacy Standard put in the Nephilim because that is the actual underlying Hebrew word. Very important. Some of the other translations, King James, New American Standard, others just put giants. And that's not as helpful, but nevertheless, let's be as precise as we can. So there were giants, Nephilim, on earth in those days. And also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. Let me just pause there. This is a contrast. Sons of God, daughters of men. And if you actually study the phrase sons of God, it always means angels, or even in some cases, handmade by God. What's fascinating is in the New Testament, we're called the sons and daughters of God because we are a new creature in Christ. We're handmade by God. And so I love that expression, though when you search it, you'll discover it refers to angels. And so that contrast makes it very clear. So when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and this would be the daughters of men. Now, how do I determine that? So there's a rule of first antecedent you must be familiar with. What that means is you go to the left of the reading, and the first subject that's mentioned is the one you take. So by saying daughters of men and we can assume that means daughters of men. That's just normal English. Bore children to them. Now, since we already chose daughters of men already as the first antecedent, we can then take the next one prior to that, and that would be the sons of God. So that's how we can determine those personal pronouns. And then it says those. Now, how do we choose children or offspring? Because that's implied of what was born. That's how we know, again, the first antecedent, because the other ones were taken. Those children or offspring were mighty men. And when we look up that word men, let me go ahead and do that. You're going to see that there's a special Hebrew word. And now men is Adam. This is the daughters of men. Let's go to the other one, men, mighty men. And we see the word gibber or gibberine. All right, now don't miss this. This word gibberine or gibberine is applied to men. All right, so very clear the text is saying these offspring between the angels and the daughters were men, but they were gibberine, they were mighty men. And it goes on to say they were of old, men of renown. And that word renown is very fascinating. If we right click on it, it means reputation, famous. They were known. Now, this is just taking a very straightforward historical grammatical study of this text, as well as looking at the underlying Hebrew words. Now, what's fascinating is Genesis 6:4 is one of the uses of the Nephilim. But if we right-click on Nephilim and we choose the lemma, which is that circle icon, and we go over to the search and we choose Bible, we're going to discover there's a second passage. That second passage is Numbers 13:33. Let's go to that context. Now, this is post-flood. This is Israel's in the land. They've sent out the spies, and they come back to report, and this is what they say. We saw the Nephilim. Now, look at this. The sons of Anak are part of the Nephilim, and we became like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. Now, this is interesting because what we're saying, or what the text is saying, is we're using this term Nephilim, but specifically, we're really referencing the sons of Anak. They are part of the Nephilim, okay? And so this is giving us a little insight here. So in other words, you could make the argument that there is no Nephilim directly, because this is Genesis 6:4 before the flood, but these are descendants of the Nephilim, the sons of Anak. And we'll get to that in a little bit, why I take that view. So that's it. That's the only two places in all the Bible where the word Nephilim is mentioned. Now, we're going to come back to this, but let's move to the second term, the Rephaim. All right? Again, we can open up the fact book. We can click in the search box. Let's type in REF or REPH. Type in Rephaim, and this time we're going to choose the Rephaim people. And again, this helps us get some background. By choosing people, we get access to the dictionaries, and now we can read about them. All right, and you're going to find there's some really interesting background on that. Now, let's go back to Numbers 13:33. Are the sons of Anak Nephilim or Rephaim? And that's what we have to find out. So let's right-click on Anak. We'll choose Anakim the person. We'll choose Bible. And here's all the places where he's mentioned. Now, what we could do is just put in near, and let's put in Rephaim. Now, I always get trouble in spelling these, so let me make sure I spell it properly. And I'm just going to put in Rephaim near, just to see if there's any passages with that. All right, now here's one in Deuteronomy 2:11. Let's read it. Like the Anakim, they are also regarded as Rephaim, but the Moabites called them Emim. So this is why I take the view that the sons of Anakim are really the Rephaim, that the previous passage in Numbers was just using the Nephilim as a generic expression. And we're going to see this, that once you go post-flood, there are no Nephilim, there's only Rephaim, and that is significant, okay? Now, here's where things get really interesting. Let's go ahead and right-click on Deuteronomy 2:11 on the word Rephaim. We'll choose, again, the circle icon, the lemma, and we're going to do search Bible. Now, here's a bunch of passages that we get back, and I've labeled them here in the personal book. Now, what's fascinating about this is that if you look at the passages, we discover some additional names, and this is really important in the study. So we find out that Zuzim and Emin are names for the Rephaim. We see that Anakim, and there's Emin being repeated. We see Rephaim Zamzumin, very similar to Zumzin, right? We also find out that Og, king of Bashan, is part of the Rephaim. Og, king of Bashan, is repeated again and again. Goliath is part of the Rephaim. Then we have Sippai. Now, Sippai is very fascinating. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 24. Now, it happened afterwards. Go to Jude. We'll scroll down, and here we go, verse 5. Now, I want to remind you, though you know all things, that Jesus, having once saved the people out of the land of Egypt, subsequently destroyed those who did not believe. Now, here we go. And angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper abode, he is kept in eternal bonds under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Now, we have angels and judgment, and they left their proper abode. So right now, these are pretty parallel. But look what it says now. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them, having indulged the same way as these in gross immorality, and have gone after strange flesh. That's the insight. This just as links the behavior of the angels with the behavior of Sodom and Gomorrah. What do they have in common? They went after strange flesh. And an angel, coming in the form of a person, going after the daughters of men is going after a different flesh. That actual strange flesh is the word heteros, another, a different kind. And so the combination of Jude judgment and this behavior with Sodom and Gomorrah, like Sodom and Gomorrah, just as Sodom and Gomorrah, and the Genesis 6, those three passages links them all together. So we can be pretty definitive here to say that the sons of God are angels. They went after daughters of men. They were after them in sexual way. They produced offspring, but those offspring were men in the end, and therefore they were judged for that. That's preliminary what we've got from this initial study. But the question is, what about the other books of the Bible? For example, the translation of the Septuagint. This is where things get interesting. And what I want to do is expose you to the other views and how they came to those conclusions. Now, where you go and decide and how you interpret this, that's up to you. Do your own studies before the Lord. But I at least want to help you understand how people get to their conclusions, and so that you understand. Now, I'm going to get the Septuagint out. Very, very key resource. Let me type in